Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's first Friday Toast to the Arts and Parks show with Nancy and Lisa. We are the mother-daughter travel team and publishers of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, as well as Parks and Travel magazine. And Parks and Travel, that is one of our favorite magazines because we travel across the country documenting parks and their communities. Big Blend is variety, and who can't have variety? Both of them contain the arts and music, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about art. We're talking about art in Hawaii. We're always loving our First Friday shows because we get to interview artists in residence that are staying in a national park unit through the National Parks Arts Foundation. The National Parks Arts Foundation is an amazing nonprofit organization. They create a month-long artist residency within a park unit. And we're talking about artists of all genres and mediums. So it could be a plein air painter, a photographer, a filmmaker, a poet, a dancer, a singer. It's wide open. And the park units, oh my gosh, you could be staying in the ancestral lands of Chaco Canyon. You could be staying on your own island in the Dry Tortugas in the Florida Keys, or you can be in Hawaii's Volcano National Park. And our artist that we're going to be chatting with today, very excited, is Dawn Waters Baker, and that's where she is right now. We're recording this interview. It's going to air a little later here at the end of December 2019, and she was a December artist in residence in Hawaii. And she's an amazing landscape painter, oil painter. And when you see her art, oh my gosh, it is so beautiful. You're going to love it. I encourage you to go to her website, DawnWatersBaker.com. So DawnWatersBaker.com. So welcome to the show, Dawn. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Lisa and Nancy, for having me. What an honor.
Oh, it's the honor is ours. I've been following you on Instagram for, I'm sure, probably a couple years. Watching you, and I realized that the National Parks Arts Foundation, you've been involved with them. Was your first residency Big Bend and then Gettysburg and now Hawaii? I mean, you're
yes.
Wow.
Yes, I and they were life changing. I can't thank the National Park Arts Foundation enough. Tanya Ortega and the whole team. They've changed my life in a lot of ways. It's so interesting because as a landscape artist, you long for just an opportunity to be in the landscape, to be in the context of it, and what an opportunity to. And even my galleries tell me my work is at another level, and I can only say that thanks to these opportunities and getting to see and to be in it. So.
Oh, wow.
Really
is it
wonderful.
the time? Is it because it's a month-long residency? Like, I think, Nancy, we both want a month-long in a park because we document parks.
Yeah.
But at the time, you're on this whirlwind trip and you're like, you don't have that. Like, you want to dig, you want to feel the dirt. You want your hands in the dirt. You want to see the sunrise, the sunset.
Yeah.
You want all of that. Is it the time that allows you to actually breathe and actually, get the whole vibe? Because you have flow and light.
Absolutely.
And your art is just, you're there when you look at it,
Yeah. Well, and I think my kind of art is a slow art. It's layers over time. And even after this 1 month, it will take me at least one full year to finish the work for the show. And so it'll be, lots of layers of art. I have to let the layers dry and then come back to it. So in a way, it's like, when I get time, I get to be in the landscape, watch the light, watch the cycle of the light on the landscape. I get to watch the weather change. I get to watch how even the flow of people over the landscape. There's lonely times, there's busy times. It's really wonderful for me to take in all that and have the time to do it,
So you're painting in oils, so you have to let the layers dry.
I do.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with that because I also paint. And I did a tour in South Africa where I had to paint a lot quicker and I didn't have time to let paintings dry. And I went to acrylic and oh my gosh, that was
no, I don't.
Yeah.
and I have nothing against acrylic painters or watercolor. I think that's so great, but it's just not my thing. And acrylic really is it's plastic. It's you're painting with plastic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's exactly it. Because when she started, it would dry fast.
I had so much trouble.
And it has lumpy plasticky to it. And I think there's some people can use it. It ain't plastic, but there's something about oil, and you can tell immediately. Like your art, I look at Nancy's paintings, and she's got the, like realist and impressionist side, and you've got that too, where the lighting, there's something that happens with the lighting when someone knows how to use oil paint and create with it like you do, Dawn. The lighting.
Thank you.
Oh my, and it's
You're
fluid,
so
and you just, I mean, it's beautiful. And like I said, I've watched you so long and over Instagram. I'm like, her art is amazing. She has to come on the show. She's done 3 residencies. She's in Hawaii. I mean, talk about Big Bend to that. You just really showcase the diversity of these residencies too. I mean, I was going through Gettysburg on your website today, and everyone, again, DawnWatersBaker.com. Go look. I was looking through Gettysburg, and some of them, the trees, like I feel like the trees hold the stories of the history of the war and the battle and the people. Like, soldiers stood up and laid their hands on those trees. There's bullets, there's bloodshed on those trees, and those trees saw everything. And I really feel like your art really showcased that.
Thank you.
I would. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dawn.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say I was using trees as a metaphor. I felt like using people was kind of easy to dismiss. It's the Confederates, it's the Union, and we live in a tension of that same conflict today, and still the same racial tensions, and still this this blue and red, type things. And I just felt like it was time to sort of use an analogy that was going back to nature. And I felt like the trees really said it, this sort of brokenness, and yet there was this beauty. So there was this tension between beauty and brokenness. And the Civil War work was really one of I will say the hardest work of my life, but really the most fulfilling. So really beautiful there.
Because trees know to bend with the wind, and if you don't, you get broken and you fall down. And some trees don't bend, and then they fall down. So I feel like there's a beauty in that survival mode of I'm going to bend so I can live another day. And I think your images capture that.
Thank you so much. It's so kind to hear that. And it's really, we're living in a time where I think America is getting reborn again, just like Abraham Lincoln was calling them to be reborn again. And I think we need to change our ways, our kinds of polarizations, don't you think? And art is a wonderful way of kind of bringing back into that context of humanity. We're human beings. We're not just sound bites. We're not just there to kind of troll one another. We're really people and worth loving,
And I think what's interesting with what you're doing is you're bringing nature into that fold. So when we look at this polarizing, let's draw our lines in the sand, we're red and blue, it's like we're repeating history. But here it is, nature has been through all of it. Those trees in the Gettysburg series is like they're like the symbol. And when you think about war, how many people think about the war horses that got killed? How many people think about what happened to the earth while we were shooting everybody up? Human lives were lost, but trees got hurt too. Sorry, I'm a tree hugger. And
it's right.
I'm just saying that's
that
why
landscape.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, that landscape took. It said it took about 10 years to regrow. Again, the crops that these farmers really were planting at that point. And you can't imagine, obviously, but isn't it a metaphor when we look at winter in the landscape and then it turns back to spring again? It's just such an analogy, isn't it? That even in death, there's this life again. And so, I felt like nature was the perfect metaphor for that. Everything takes time and patience.
nature's not in a big hurry. It's the people who are in a hurry. We want everything right now, la, la, la. And nature is like, oh, you know what? I'm going to take my time because nature has attention to detail and humans do not. Think about nature. Everything works in its cycle and it's perfect. It really is perfect. It's got its cycle and it takes time. So it's like nature's going to outlive us because we're going to, either grow up or annihilate ourselves probably at some point if we can't just calm down and realize that we actually have everything we need if we just take care of it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm at I don't know if y'all would let me tell a quick story.
Oh yeah.
But,
go for it. Yeah.
There was a wonderful article in the New Yorker magazine I think it was about 2008, and there was a woman named Lisa Saunders. She was a mother of 4 living in Northern Ireland, and she just noticed in her son's junior Oxford dictionary that a lot of the nature words were getting dropped from the dictionary. Words like moss and fern and wonderful words like acorn, willow, and these words that were added to the dictionary were words like internet, interface, bandwidth, these kinds of words. And I guess it really struck me when I was reading that, because I thought we're losing a way to communicate when we don't have our nature words. We really are losing some of our own way of understanding ourselves. So we have to regain. We have to go back to those analogies. Go back to those metaphors when we look at the sky, when we look at the earth, when we look at the sea, even when we look at a volcano.
For sure.
The volcano is the weakest place of the earth is a volcano. Isn't that cool? It's like you're looking at a mountain and it's really the weakest place of our earth, and it's a wound, this open wound. And
it doesn't, to me, when you, I understand what you're saying, but when you look at it and it's all fire and it looks like the strongest place, it's like, don't mess with me,
Well, that represents politics right there.
Well, and how about our own woundedness as people? We all have these wounds in us that there's times we just need to let these things. We've got to let them out. If we don't, they will blow.
It's a detox. It's a detox.
Nature has 4 seasons. You can't get caught up forever in it. It's like, now it's time to shed your skin. Get on with it. Now you get to bloom.
That's right.
Now you get to sleep for a little bit. No, it's true.
Yeah. Well,
nature's got it down.
It's true.
Well, I think that's what's interesting about your art too. You talk about even just going on the residency side, and we can talk about your life in the Philippines and how that connects to Hawaii as well. But I wanted to go here you are in Gettysburg, right? And looking at how that affects us today, and yet you're using nature in there. And then when you were in Big Bend National Park in Texas, we're on the border of Mexico. And we've done interviews with rangers years and years ago about this, and stuff was going on about the border and all that. And when you look at your art from Big Bend, it's like, here's this beauty that is like, this is a shared sky between both countries. And it's like, I'm not trying to be political, but it is about nature, and nature is part of the conversation about what happens to the border. And nature is. It's like, what about the jaguars coming through and things? But your sky, it's like your sky is so present there, night or day, and sunrise, sunset, that says, hello, the sky is bigger, and you're little.
Well, it just makes me laugh to think about having build a wall. There's no way that you can keep that sky out of anything. There's no way you could get the light on the land out of any of that. There's no wall in there. And don't we all want to have walls with people sometimes and with circumstances? But I feel that we're called to open our hearts to people and to love people, and so the light is very important to me. And I mean, it's big sky country, isn't it? So,
it's beautiful. I'm looking at how you did, Nancy, when she first saw your paintings, and first glimpse, it was like, oh wow, it's photographs, and then we know it's not. And when you look, when you have your first glance and then you get deeper. And it's very interesting, especially with Big Bend. You go into night sky paintings, and it's very rare that you actually see that. It's mostly the photography. And I wanted to know, what is your process behind that? Do you take photos, or are you painting it as it's happening? Tell us about that.
Yeah, such a good question, because it's so funny how I work. I work both ways. I do what I feel like I'm doing is I'm like a little detective, like I'm picking up clues, and so I'm making these sort of small plein air paintings as I go. And also I'm collecting a lot of photographs because light changes so fast.
Yeah.
And then I write in my journal every day about just the feeling. So I have people ask me, what are you trying to get a photographic? I'm really not after the photographic look. I'm after the feeling of a place. What's it feel? I think when people go to the landscape, they want to remember how they felt there. I do. And so I try to remember that, or paint that, or try to write that down in some way, so that later I can go back, and when I paint a larger painting, it's usually what I paint is pretty large work. Then I can kind of remember that. Yeah. Everything is, I would say, very prayerful, just kind of trying to be sort of spiritually aware, Yeah.
When you go out and do your research, and do you go out for a hike, and do you do you talk to the plants? Like, do you go like, hey, do you want me to paint you this way? How do you want to be portrayed?
It's funny because like this morning the volcano was getting veiled with the mist and stuff, and I was like, no, but it was so cool because when that happened, I realized, oh, it's got the mystery. There's a mystery to it. And I wouldn't have seen it if that wouldn't have happened. And so I'm always just so grateful when something happens I didn't expect, that I didn't try to set it up in any way, that I just opened myself to what is created there. And I just love that. So yeah, I do take a long hike. I take a lot of hikes, and just like right now I'm sore, because it's a very physical work. A lot of people think I'm in Hawaii laying on the beach eating bonbons, and stuff. I'm hiking a lot. I'm walking a lot,
Well, it's a healthy thing.
Physical work.
It's physical.
It's
it is
me.
physical work. And it is like when you get out there, there's nothing like it to me. It's like that's home. That's home. And nature is home. That's your living room for the day. That's your artist studio. Do you sketch?
Absolutely.
Do you is there a lot of sketching going on too? I mean, you're journaling, which is, I think, interesting. Do you ever consider like recording, like doing a tape recording, or your thoughts?
I guess I haven't done that before. I'm I'm kind of an introvert person, so I kind of just I guess I write and I journal a lot, but I do pray a lot as I walk, and if that sounds corny, I just do. I pray a lot. I love to be outside when just like right now, it's like so beautiful. Yesterday I was caught in a rainstorm up on the hills of this beautiful grassy place, and it was just so beautiful. I loved every minute of it. And I got down from the hill, and the ranger was laughing at me. He said, "You're drenched." I said, "I loved it."
Oh.
And I feel like there's nothing like that feeling of just being in it.
Absorbing it in.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about being the spiritual connection and the prayer side of things, like for me, I look at nature as very meditational. Are you in a thankful mode, or are you more in the observant mode when you're in that part of the movement of it and taking it in?
Yeah, such a good question. I think so I think there's a word that kind of describes how I feel, and I think it's wonder. And I even wrote down the definition of it so I could remember it over and over. It's a feeling of surprise mingled with admiration, and I think that is what I feel. It's a sense of wonder. I feel gratitude is a good word for it. It's just like, but there's also this mixture of fear there, isn't it? Because there's this huge nature, and you can't control it.
Nature's very humbling.
Yeah.
It takes you down, but then
Yeah.
you're like, wow, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to observe
Yeah.
this. You know, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm part of this.
Yeah.
You know,
How do I
And
handle
so
it?
then you're,
when you look at a leaf,
yeah. Yeah.
if you look at the leaf,
Mm.
and it could be a big one or a small one, it doesn't matter, and you look at the color of the green. Now, if you're an artist, and I used to
Mm.
look at this and go, okay, let's be analytical. Is it a cool green
Mm.
or a warm green? And what color on the palette would it be? Is it sap green or chrome green? Which green
Right.
are you going to use? And you're going to modify that
Yeah.
green because to get it just right. But when then
Right.
the scientific brain comes in and you think, oh, this is a billions of cells all sitting together and hugging
Yes.
each other to make this leaf, then you can get really.
Yes.
I know I'm going to sound like a real idiot here, but it makes you realize how things are put together in nature, and what you're looking at is not just the leaf. It really isn't.
Absolutely.
You know,
it is so beautiful, isn't it? And I just there's a tree here at the Hawaii volcanoes called the ohia tree, and it literally closes its mouth to the sulfurous air,
wow.
and so that it doesn't die. And then when the wind changes, it opens its mouth, and then it can take in the oxygen and the carbon
Where's
again.
its mouth?
Well, these little cells open and close.
The cells open. Wow. Yeah. So it's millions
That's
of mouths.
amazing.
Yeah. Millions of thousands. The rangers told me they can literally sometimes hear it sigh. You know,
Wow.
I just think that's so
Wow.
Well, they found out that our
amazing.
brain cell, like they used to say, like if you drink too much, all your brain cells are going out of your head, and that's it. You're done, right? And then they discovered that our brain cell is in every cell of our body, so all of our things are in every cell. And so when you think about a tree going through that, every part of the tree, I mean, every cell is going and affiliated with it. Because you think about it, how the nervous system runs, this, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's some crazy
it's
cool
amazing.
stuff. That's amazing and adaptable to nature, too.
Mm-hmm.
Only some can survive it.
Develop that. They had to develop that talent to live
That's
there.
like an anemone, in a way.
Mm.
Like the opening and closing.
It is. Well, it's the first plant the first tree that grows after a volcano eruption, and it's called the grandmother of the forest because it brings all the birds back, and then the birds bring all the other trees. And isn't that cool?
That's
so what a
cool.
picture.
Dude.
Yeah, what a picture of Hawaii.
I know. I trip out on stuff like this. To me, I geek out.
I love
really
that.
do. It's like, because that just tells you how nature is like, you can't even come close to, like, as human beings, we do these amazing things, but like nature just, she's
look at
like,
it this way, like,
watch this.
Sometimes you'll see like a road covered in asphalt, and then you'll see here comes a little piece of grass and manages to crack the asphalt and spring out there and go, hi, I'm here. And they
watch
go, oh,
this.
it's a weed. I'm like, it's not a weed. Leave it alone. It's precious. Look at the power.
Oh, I know.
Look how,
I know.
I mean, all these heavy toxic things on our roads, and here comes this little piece of grass and pokes right on through and goes, I made it. I made it.
Yeah. Well, it's true, because our planet is just so full of life, and it's like you can't keep the life from happening. It's going to happen. You can't keep it from.
That's beautiful. You say that, because when we look at, our parks go through threats. Our parks and public lands go through threats, and obviously we're looking at all this political drama and human drama, and I think what's important about your work is you show, if someone isn't able to go to a place like Hawaii Volcanoes, and you're there as an artist in residence in an amazing house with an ocean view, and it sounds all this great stuff. This is awesome. What the National Parks Arts Foundation, listen, artists, I don't care what you're doing, whether you're writing, painting, go to nationalparksartsfoundation.org and check it out. It's cool. But what you're doing with your landscape art, is you're showing the power of Mother Nature and the beauty of her and the centricity and the emotion, because you show a lot of emotion in your art to me, especially the skies. And you're showing a lot of that. And I think there's a lot of people who don't get to experience that, but also how do we take that to the masses so that they can see and understand there's more than our TV screens, there's more than our cell phones, there's more than the four walls around you in a room. And you do a lot of work with youth, incarcerated youth. And I wanted to ask you about the importance. Do you take your work to show them what's out there in the world, and does that have an effect on them?
You know, I feel like it's ingrained in them. You know, they I do teach. It's funny, we go in and I teach once a week art class in 2 different juvenile detentions, one in Dallas County and one in McKinney. And the kids are amazing. They're just amazing kids. I love them. Probably the hardest lives you'll ever. I mean, you know, they've gone through such trauma. But for them to paint a tree or to paint a landscape or to make a beautiful sunset, I literally have kids, when they're done, they look at their painting and they got their hands over their mouth and they say, I can't believe I did that, you know?
Exactly.
And it's like, yes, sweetheart, you did it because it's ingrained in you. You know, we're created that way. And I believe that. And I also think that love makes a difference. I think people, when they're truly loved, they change because of that love. When you're seen, you know, as a person, not just as a punk, you know, which is what I hear a lot
commodity.
About kids.
A commodity. Yeah.
When you grew up, I grew up in East LA with a family that was always on welfare, so I know the difference of self-worth. And you always look for somebody outside to give you the self-worth. And finally, one day you realize you have to give it to yourself. But it really helps. It really helps when people admire something that you do, whether it be sports or or art or poetry or whatever that you have to pull deep within. And I think, you know, that people, when kids paint, and I mean, I taught art in Kenya, and it was really fun because the children had to pay my salary, which was horrible, but they loved the class. And what they painted was a cartoon of me all the time. It was like, what are you doing? But,
that's fun. How neat though they got to do it. And don't you think it's like a lot of these kids, it's like this is the first time they've ever had a paintbrush in their hand or had oil paints, and I buy them just as good a quality of paints as I paint with, because I want them to know you're worth it. You're worth spending this money on. You are worth it. I feel like they, you know, I just want to show them that they're loved, you know, by God, by me, they're loved, you know. I just think about that a lot. And
they're not alone, because we are, as humans, connective. We need to have that connective time. And I think nature too, that your you know, your work is about nature, you know. Landscape is nature. And sometimes we're going to have a road or a telephone pole in it. It's going to happen because it's happening, you know. It's how we get there too, you know. So there's this balance that your work also shows, and I appreciate that. And taking the art to, you know, I to me, you're bringing something in that they can't see from where they're sitting. Maybe they see a little bit of it, right? There's no hope. There's I'm not really big on the prison system, but I understand everybody's going to send me emails, but it's about how there's a reason why someone did something that wasn't right. So there's something that happened, right? So it doesn't mean like, and bad things happen. We've had bad things happen in our family that, yes, people have actually need I mean, murder and stuff that has happened to our family. And the other person on the other side, you know, that as much as you're angry and hurt and just all the emotions that go with that, is just really just goes on a crazy land. the other side,
Yeah.
what made you do that? How were you hurt and damaged? So I go at the end of the
Right.
day, I would like prisons to, just like schools, because schools feel like prison. Can we just take all of it and put into nature? And I feel like if it was more in a natural setting, healing will actually, and healing and learning will actually take place. Fresh air, sunshine, some trees. Trees are nurturing. You sit under a tree. Why does it feel better to sit under a tree and read a book than it does to sit inside within four walls? Just does.
Yeah.
Birds poop on your pages.
Yeah, birds poop on your page. Hey, and that means it's good luck, right? You're going to get rich somewhere.
Or the geckos, either one, right? No, I think there's something to getting to see beauty. Beauty changes us. I mean real beauty. I'm not talking about cosmetic plastic surgery beauty. I'm talking about real beauty that changes us. And there's something beyond that. Like there was a young man painting a night sky, and he just looked, you could tell he was just like he just loved it. And I remember him just looking at me and saying, you know, he goes, and I'm just quoting him, but he said, could God love me? You know, and I said, of course he does, you know. But I think in some ways it's like when you see something so beautiful, you start to realize there's something really wonderful out there. And and you know, and like you said, a hope. You know, I think these kids are, you know, they've been in gangs, they've done those strong rap music, but you know, what do they want to hear when they're in juvie? They want to hear real hopeful songs. You know, it's interesting, isn't it? They want to see beautiful work. They want to, you know. I think
gangs are survival.
Yeah,
that's on the living on the edge in survival mode the whole time, which makes you really tired. When you're really tired, you can't think. When you can't think, you make bad decisions. That's where they are.
Rap has changed. Rap music is changing to be more thoughtful lately.
Yeah.
Too. If you listen to it, it's changed. It's changed over the last year.
I tell people, I think it is the poetry of our age. I think many people would rather it not be, but it is. It's the poetry of our age, and there's something that we're missing. Like I think we as old, I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, I don't really listen to it, but every time I do, I think, wow, there's a lot of anger here. There's a lot of hurt here, you know, when I hear it. And that helps me understand where they're coming from, you know.
Well, you know, music and art is a expression of what's happening, and it's a message, and it's a cry for help a lot of the time. It's
sign of the
exactly
times.
Right.
Sign of the times.
That's exactly right.
Because how else are they going to send a message, you know, without getting shot or having everybody get angry? So they're going to put it in music because at least it feels good while they do it, because the beat, you know, makes you feel part of something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
On the nature side too, I mean, that's the thing, is bringing that into them, and that's the thing, you're bringing nature too. Like you're in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park now, and this residency to me is interesting because I know Hawaii is an amazing, you know, vacation destination, but beyond the beaches, beyond the Mai Tais and all that, there's this real cultural history. There's geology. There's nature, like you're talking about these trees. And a lot of people never get there. And there's also like this balance of, let's not rush our parks to death. Let's do this balance. And I think art plays a role where it goes around the world, because I wanted to ask you, the last two residencies, Big Bend and Gettysburg, I mean, those paintings have been through different galleries and shows. And so this is an important thing for an artist and for the parks too, with what happens with these residencies.
I hope so. I mean, I want and you know, I'm just so grateful when the Gettysburg work is going to Kansas City in February, and I'm just so grateful there. I'll be flying up to have a little talk up there, and you know, part of me just thinks, wow, I'm so grateful that it can get around, because I'm not sure everyone especially I would say the West Coast, can get over to the East Coast and see the beautiful battlefield it's our battlefield. We need to walk it as Americans, I think, and see what it felt like, and the memory of a place. But the art is a good place to start as well, is still entering into those metaphors. And Big Bend was like, I'll just say this, when I was there, I cried my way out of the park on the last day, and I told my husband, I said, can we live here? And I think one of the things I would say about the desert and the landscape and the light there's something really, really beautiful. I've never, even here in Hawaii, it's incredible beauty, but there's something about the desert, I think, that speaks in a different way. Of course, you all know that, living in Arizona.
Well, no, we're on the road full time now. I mean, that's the thing when you say about how can I live here, that's our problem. We just realized, just get over it. This is travel. We're addicted. This is our addiction. It's like go from park to park, but once you go somewhere and then you leave, you're like, oh, then you want to go back, and then it's like, okay, and there's this thing.
I know.
You get attached to these places, and I think especially when you paint, because you're spending a lot of time, you're in it. Hawaii, how is that connecting to your childhood and living the Philippines? I heard that you went through a volcano eruption there, and
yes, I did. So in 1991, Mount Pinatubo erupted, and it is the largest eruption in our century.
Wow!
It was devastating to the people, of course. And the worst part was that the rainy season came right after that, and it caused this huge mudslide with the ash. Yeah, it was very hard, but it got dark in the daytime, and it rained ash on the cars, like it looked like snow, I remember. And but it's an amazing place to grow up, and the Filipino people are so wonderful. It's home, I was born there, I was raised there till I was 19, and so and coming back here, it's been so awesome because it's like the trees are a lot alike. The weather is a lot alike. There's the topography of Hawaii is much more hilly, but there is a lot of things that are so similar here, and I've enjoyed that. Waking up to hearing the rooster, and even the food. Yeah, everything comes with rice. I love that. So. I feel quite at home. As I said to my husband, I was like, could we live here? I say that every time we move, we go someplace.
You sound like us.
I'm with you guys on that.
Yeah, on every tour, we go into a community and we think like, oh, we could live here. And then you go to the next one, oh, we could live here. And like, we live everywhere.
That's why we're like, that's it. We're done. We've realized that we lived in different countries. We've lived, we're just go on the road and get over it because we can. We don't have children and all that, So we're at that point, and it's like, do it while you can, and
wonderful,
and document it and show people, because things change. And I think Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is one of those places that, 10 years ago, the photos have changed. What happened there and what it looks like now. It's a moving park all the time. So going in afterwards, that's got to be interesting, and seeing the change after the eruption that happened.
Absolutely, it has been, and I just want to say thank you all for doing that, because I think falling in love with places and helping other people fall in love with them is so important. But yeah, this has been just incredible. And of course, I'm falling in between a time of eruptions. I know there will be another one soon, but there's not been any lava flow, but I'm okay with that, because I know it's all there. It's all underneath, I see evidence of it. And its landscape is so marked by it that it's hard to, it's like whether the lava is there or not, it's affected by it, So
wow, I'm just seeing there's another rap song in this, falling between eruptions. I'm just saying. As he said that, I was like,
yeah, man.
I can hear the beat. I can hear it. I can hear it. So when you do that, when you think about it, now, are there lava tubes that you can go down into? Like, are you able to do that or no?
Yeah. Well, the one here at the volcano at the park has been closed, but there's one in Hilo that we can tour, and I think my family and I probably want to try that. But it's been amazing to just go to the sulfur vents and the steam vents and look down into this big mouth, and I mean, it's like, it's like looking into Sheol. You look down and you think, whoa, it's a little creepy, but it's also really cool, because the Earth is alive. It's
like
moving.
Yellowstone.
Yeah.
When you go to Yellowstone,
yes,
you see that, and you're like, okay, we're still forming the Earth.
Oh wow!
Yes. You're just a blip, on this huge, landscape, and I just think there's something really cool about that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And I love so here at the Hawaii, I've noticed the elements really strongly. So of course there's water with the sea and the rain, and then the fire, of course, is there, evident. And of course the earth is moving these plates. And then where I'm staying here in Na'alahu, it's a very windy. It's one section of the island that gets a huge amount of wind. The trees are being shaped by the wind. They look sideways,
Yeah.
And I just think, wow, I've got all the elements here in just one place. It's incredible.
Balance. You got balance.
Yes.
Total balance.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting as we go. And I know this is airing again in February 2020, but as we go into 2020, this kind of feels like it's a year of balance. I feel like we've had so much drama. Like eventually you have to come into this calming, like the tide comes in at some point. And I feel like what you're talking about, you have to have the wind as part of the balance. And we forget that.
You do.
And the fire.
That's
You have to have
point.
it. And I think now we're going to ebb into that zone. I'm just being trippy for everybody, I know I'm going to get emails after this interview.
It's okay.
It's all good.
And I tell people, so there's like, for instance, complementary colors on a color wheel. If you put like green and red are opposite on the color wheel, right? But if you put them together, what do they make? They make a neutral. And I think there's something about that. We like tension. We do. We need it. We need that tension, but we also need that time of shifting towards one another.
So I vote for purple.
But then you can.
Yes.
But on the color wheel, you can put like a dark green next to a very pale light red, and it'll be that's
beautiful.
Cool. But if you put
it pops.
It pops. Now, if you put the two fighting colors together on equal basis, then the person looking at the painting will not know what makes them uncomfortable, but it will make them uncomfortable, but they won't know why. It's like when you compose a painting and you don't compose it correctly, or you on purpose break the rules, because rules are there so we can break them. Got to know them, then you can break them. Then you have caused the viewer to be uncomfortable, and some people will not know why, but some people will. And I can look at a painting. I can look at a painting and go, I know what you did, and that's cool, But other people will go, I don't know if I like it or I don't. But they stand there and they watch it.
It's going to sit with them.
And
that's
it sits
awesome.
with them because they don't know. And they don't know, and they might never know, but they might research and find out.
Or it just will sit with them.
Attention.
It makes them think.
We want to pass the tension so fast. I know I'm like that. I don't want to sit in tension, but there is something to learning there. I think the national parks help us. Yeah, exactly. They help us sit with that. I was in Gettysburg, and I was looking out on this battlefield. It's kind of dusk, and all of a sudden, you guys, this field of fireflies came out.
Oh, no way!
And it was like a move.
Cool.
Yeah, the whole ground was moving like stars. And I was just sort of in tension of like, wow, this place where there was so much death, and yet all this beautiful life flowing over the grounds and the fields, and it's a tension, but it was awesome,
Oh my gosh!
We absolutely need to.
We saw our first firefly in Kentucky this year.
Oh, we were so
2018.
amazed.
And it was one little solo firefly. And we're like,
I
oh,
know.
there's
We're
a
so
firefly.
like, look.
And the lady, we locked ourselves out of our Airbnb, and the lady comes up and she's like, we had our wine time outside, and we're like, uh-oh, we locked ourselves out. Typical, and so I luckily had my phone and said, hey, and she's like, oh, look, guys, look, there's a firefly. And she's like, this was like the solo end of the season, but we got this one magical moment, and it was like we were so lucky to see that, because they're like carrying their own little lantern,
It's
like,
so cool.
It's so
they're magical, aren't they? They're magical.
Oh, they're so awesome.
I think.
But to see that whole batch, like you're saying, and then you think about that and the history, like there is this, I don't know, it's like a connection of like, I don't know, that is the beauty of these residencies, and I want one, Tanya.
Yeah.
Tanya, hello.
I want a residency.
So awesome.
Hello to the board of the National Parks Arts Foundation. We've been interviewing artists for a number of years, and now we'd like to be one. Because when you think about this, that you get to be in one for a month and be able to just let your hair down. And I think it's really hard for anyone in the industry of the arts to let your hair down and just breathe and do. It's so important that you're able to do it, because that is the integrity of the craft and the message and the art. You can't get the clear message if I know it as what we do. You run in sometimes quick, have to take the quick photo, do this, and it so sucks when you have to do the quick drive.
Everything on a hurry up.
And that's what our society is doing. And art, part of the role of the art has been to slow people down.
Absolutely. I tell people that's why I like art, because it stops time. For just that moment you're looking at a painting, it stopped time for you. And I was talking with one of the park rangers, Jessica Farrakane, here at the park, and she was saying how she sees these couples come over, or they go over to the thing and they take their selfie picture and then they're out. They haven't really stopped to look at the place, and and I think just hats off to our park rangers who help us to kind of say, stop, slow down.
They're rock stars. They're rock stars in the natural.
They are. They really are.
They are.
And every time we go out with a ranger, do you ever see this? You go out with a ranger, they're going to show you something, and then anybody that's on that trail or in that place, here they come. They want to talk to the ranger. It's like, it's like the inner ranger Rick of us all. We want to go talk to the ranger.
Well, they know so much, and
they do.
I remember at Big Bend just getting to be with David Elkowitz, and I was sitting there thinking, it's like being with a scientist plus a nature conservator all in one. It was just wonderful. It was just wonderful. Yeah.
Well, they open your eyes to things that you might not see. You could walk over something and they'll go, because we always kind of look for, let's look for a lion or a tiger or a bear or the big stuff, right? But the small stuff is just as interesting, and you just walk over it. So they open your eyes to that.
I remember when we were in
That's
Pinnacles.
Exactly right.
Pinnacles National Park, we went on a ranger took us out, and he is a biologist, a mothman, butterfly man. Hi, Paul. Anyway, he took us out, and we're supposed to be out there like, oh, well, this trail should only take an hour. Well, like 4 hours later, here we come out, because it's like, look at every plant. We're looking at every plant, looking at every moth, and Pinnacles National Park has over 400 beet species, which is amazing.
Wow!
Like a sanctuary. Well, any place that has geology, it's very fascinating to me. I'd like to do a thing on this, especially like what you're doing in Hawaii now. There is something like geology. Number one, good vineyards grow. Like good wine comes from geologically centered places.
Minerals.
The minerals in the earth.
Okay.
Wine. But that's important. But at the same time, here you are, these geological formations, and what is like, this is amazing, because that's nature's art to me. And then it seems to me that all these other kinds of critters live, like snakes and moths and butterflies, and interesting wildflowers and interesting plants grow out of the rocks. It's wild.
I know.
I love
It's
that.
crazy, isn't it? And it is, and you just stumble upon these wonders of. It's like Georgia O'Keeffe with the flowers, helping us see the flowers, and I think art and science meet. You know, I was talking to one of the rangers, and I said we can both be in wonder. And I just love that an artist and a scientist can kind of meet together in that place and both be in the same place. Yeah.
Well,
we can
isn't that
connect
art?
there.
Look,
Yeah.
Audubon. Look at Audubon. All the data things were always still had to have
That's
a little
right.
artistic touch to it because you had to put the color.
That's right.
Because the art, the art is the interest. When people see art, they get interested, and then the rest of it, the scientists explain it. So if the scientists went first, people would like turn their brains off because it's like, bleh.
It's too hard.
But if you put the art first, then that's the interest, and then the scientists come back later and can explain what you're looking at. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Aren't we good friends? We can be good friends, you know.
I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's it. You know, I think there is a connection that has to happen. I love the whole thing. Now I'm just going to look at everything as being purple. That's my color of 2020. Purple. Like everybody get together. The red and the blue can get together. Everybody's going to be purple. We can have science and the artists and everybody get together. Just go on the opposite.
What about blue and orange?
Well, what does that make? Does that make purple?
Purple and yellow. Purple
Did I
and
mess
yellow
up?
are the tension. Yeah.
Oh, purple and yellow.
Are they're the complementary colors? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Those are the see.
You can tell I'm not the artist. I'm the songwriter.
I think what I see in the parks a lot of times though is you really are. So this is what I say. It might sound kind of weird, but I think you really see the landscape kind of unveil itself. At 2 times a day, and that is sunrise and sunset.
My favorite.
And the rest of the day, it's been sort of the colors flattened off. It's washed out by the strong light. But those 2 times, it's like she's opened herself up to us, and we can really see what's there. And it's because of those strong colors. It's because of those tensions, and it's because of the light and the way it's just. This is what's cool to me. I didn't learn this until later because I wasn't a very good scientist, but the light is bending at those times of the day.
Oh.
And there's something about it bending that makes it so much more beautiful. Yeah.
It's moving.
Some humility there. Yeah.
To me, I like my morning thing is about going out and watching the sunrise. And then as soon as the sun rises, you hear some birds before
you hear them wake up.
And then as soon as the sun is there, the world opens up and all hell breaks loose. Like, I mean, I don't want to say hell with the birds, but like, I mean, they're chattering, they're doing their thing, depending on where you are. But I love that. I love that. I love that whether I'm driving through a town or whatever. I like to be awake an hour before everybody wakes up.
Yeah.
Whether it's nature or people. And then watch it. And then afterwards, but then I've also learned, so I've always left, you know, especially if in photography, you know, everybody high noon, that sucks. However, I'm starting to embrace the thing that everybody doesn't embrace anymore because stuff still goes on in high noon. How do people handle that? So now I'm kind of going, what are the plants doing at that time? Maybe they're sleeping, but that has got some interest too. You know, what are the ducks doing? What are, like, now I'm like, you know what? All of it has some interest, and it's about our ability as creators to capture that in the best way we can and in a unique way. But those 2 times a day, I'm with you. That is my thing, 100%. But I'm like, now I'm starting to just kind of open up going, maybe I'm missing something because, you know, while somebody's doing that, somebody's doing this in nature to like sabotage or like, I'm going to eat you while you're sleeping.
I know from really, really warm climates like in Africa, 12 noon was the worst time to see animals until you learned where to look. They would be asleep in the shade under a tree. Yeah, so then you could
Smart,
drive
yeah.
up and you could find them
Yeah.
under a tree sleeping, and if you really wanted to
Yeah.
take a photo, you
Yeah.
could. But they weren't like
Yeah.
pronging around on the plains because it's too hot. So
Right.
if you get that,
Right.
I mean, they don't disappear off the landscape. They're smart. They go under a tree and
Yeah.
they sleep
Yeah.
they have a siesta time. They sleep when it's too hot for them to run around and feed themselves, and then they are up the rest of the time, and sometimes well into the night
Mm.
to feed.
Yeah, isn't that neat? And
Yeah.
and I think, during those kind of when the sun is getting high, that's the time to get out there and just explore it with your feet. Just get out there and walk it
Yeah.
and see it. So that later you could come back when it is sunset or sunrise, and you'll see another place that's opening up to yourself. And this morning I got to the park before sunrise, and like I said, it's like you got to get up around 5 here to get to the park, and it's so worth it. But we were up there and we saw it was just about to hit Mauna Loa and that beautiful reddish color, and then this mist came through, and we were like, oh, but then I would have missed this beautiful mystery that was falling on the mountain, if I would have, and it was like just opening myself up to whatever happens. It's okay. It's beautiful.
Don't you feel more alive?
Yeah.
You feel more alive when you're there.
I do.
There's
I
an
do.
aliveness.
I
get giddy about it personally. I
me too.
freak out.
Me too. Me too. And I literally just get all giddy, and I feel like a little girl. And
Yeah.
I have friends that say, I'll send them a picture or something of myself, and they'll say, Don, you never look so good. And I just tell them, come on out.
It's nature's candy.
I mean,
it's like the candy store.
Yeah,
You're like, I got the free
Yeah.
pass to the candy store. Here it is. It's like there's and I think especially when you're not out all the time, if you're tied up at a computer, like, I know when we ditch off our 1 hour walk, I mean, we have a whole Facebook group just to get people to take a walk, and it's like,
that's awesome.
we do our thing. And if we don't go out, as soon as we get out there, man, and I'm ready to go, I'm running, get out there. And then it's like, why didn't we there's no excuse on earth to not be out there.
I know.
And it may be in the 30s here in Yuma, Arizona, that's just unheard of right now. But Nancy, you and I will be going for a walk first thing in the morning.
I know.
I don't care.
I'm taking my big woolly gray jacket.
I know. We have gloves.
Good for you guys.
It's change up
That's
your way. I know
amazing.
you're in Hawaii. Like really, what's
It's
the
so
weather
cold
like?
here right now.
Yeah, what's the temperature like?
Bless your heart.
What's your temperature
Like,
like?
what happened?
Right here it's in the 70s, and it's great.
Oh, no.
It's beautiful. And then at night it's in the 60s. Yeah, it's perfect. It's really perfect for me. I can wear my little raincoat up at the park, and I'm good to go. So
wow.
No, it's a little bit chillier here right now.
Yeah. All right. But hey, but it's
Wow.
cool because it makes for really good sunrises and sunsets. So we're happy about it. It's good.
Right.
Dawn, thank you so much for joining us. It has been such a pleasure. Before you go, do you have one tip for someone who's thinking of going on a residency experience and submitting to the National Parks Arts Foundation? Because there is a process. You do have to submit your bio and some images and what you propose to do, and sometimes you won't make it through, and sometimes you will, because it's one of those things, right? Any tips for someone?
Right. Yeah, I think we need to let go of it being perfect. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but don't, maybe not having such a tight plan, and letting yourself just be yourself and share who you really are, warts and all, and letting yourself, of course we want to put our best foot forward. I always do too, but it is really about loving the landscape and about loving the people, and so that if that helps in any way.
Yeah. No, I think I know what you mean. It's like being who you are, being true.
Yeah.
Because and it does revolve, because a lot of people enter, or sometimes people not enough enter. It's like, come on, people, this is an amazing experience.
Come on.
Yeah, come on. And it's a magical place, where you are, especially.
I want Tanya's dream to continue to, I think of it as generative. It gives and it gives and it gives and it gives. And I want her dream to continue because it's doing such loving work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tanya, shout out to Tanya. Tanya Ortega, the founder.
Yeah.
An amazing, amazing
Yeah.
lady. You've got to give her a shout out because she's
Yes,
been
she is.
on our
Yes,
shows
she is.
over the years and still has many more times to come on shows with us forever, you know. And what
Awesome.
her vision, and it's just so we get this amazing opportunity to interview the artists that stay in these amazing parks on this incredible experience. And lately now on our tour, we're going and actually visiting the places like Chaco and Aztec ruins. We managed to do some of those, and hopefully we can do more and more. But really,
Awesome.
it is when you go to these places that the artists are in and you see their art, it's like another experience. That's like a whole added thing. Like, you know, when we go to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, we're going to see your art while we're there going, wow, like that's a whole other layer of an experience. That's all I'm saying. It's like, it's different, but really, the artists that go there are second to none. They have to be through a, juried group of people saying yes, they have to balance things out for all kinds of reasons. That's why it's don't take it personally, artists. Just keep going, keep submitting. If you don't
keep
get chosen,
trying.
it really is about who submits at that same time. So just keep trying. It's an amazing, amazing program, and it takes the parks around the world, and it's a good system, right? So thank you so much, everyone. Again,
thank
Dawn,
you guys, both of you.
It's such a pleasure chatting with you.
And
I just wish we were in Hawaii with you. That would be even better, right?
Oh, I would love that.
And I heard you have good coffee there, and that would like really speak to me too.
Listen, I'm telling you, you get the right coffee and the right sunset, you're just good to go.
Oh, you're in good, good shape.
Yeah, you are.
Bless you, ladies. Bless you so much for the work you're doing. Thank you for all of that. So kind of y'all.
Thank you very much, everyone. DawnWatersBaker.com. So it's Dawn, DAWN, making sure, because some people think I can't spell, and it's true. I run a magazine, right, Nancy? And Nancy runs it really, and she says I can't spell. So Dawn, DAWN, Waters with an S, Baker.com. She's also got a blog site that you can attach from there, just connect through. And also follow her on Instagram. Like if you're like me, you're going to want to follow her on Instagram. It's awesome. And we want to thank the National Parks Arts Foundation. You guys rock. Go to nationalparksartsfoundation.org, especially if you're an artist of any genre, music to filmmaking to photography to plein air painting. Doesn't matter. Go check it out. And we want to thank everyone for listening to Big Blend Radio. You can access our shows. Just go to bigblendradio.com and you'll see all the different places you can get to our podcasts. And we love to play a special song for our guests and obviously for our audience too. And wonderful. Your song is from our good friend Wally Lauder, who's based in Tucson. We met him in Silver City on the beginning of our Love Your Parks tour. And this is from his newest album. And he did go to Hawaii to film a video. And he spent some good time out there. But his song is I Saw a Rainbow. And when you hear it, Don, you'll get it because it has to do with art and, observing and taking it all in. Yeah. So here it is. Okay. I Saw a Rainbow by Wally Lauder. It's from his album, Not Enough Time. And you can go to wallylauder.com. Thanks so much, everybody.
I saw a rainbow after the downpour. The sun was behind me, the mist to the east. The rainbow surprised me like a smile unexpected, like a gesture of kindness with no reason to be. Explain it with logic, explain it with magic, explain that beauty has its own reason to bleed. A rainbow is not a thing, it dwells in no place. It's light that is bending toward the one who sees. And I saw a rainbow after the downpour, beauty reflecting for my eyes to see, beauty reflecting for my